Over 1.6 million breast augmentations were performed internationally in 2007. And to today, it continues to be the most popular plastic surgery procedure around the world. But what are the dangers? Do we really even talk about them that much? We're bringing back on our most recent guest to talk about her own experience and how her removal of breast implants was a decision she did not regret. This is the story of breast explants with Danielle Paige. Danielle, good to have you back on.
Thank you so much.
So you've been pretty vocal about this, and I believe you just celebrated your 1-year anniversary of your explant. Yes, congratulations on that. But let's go back to kind of the start. You made the decision to have breast augmentation surgery. What was that like leading up to and following? How did you feel about that? Talk us through that sort of, time of what you went through.
So when I first got them, you're saying?
Yep.
Okay, so I want to put this in perspective. I am now 44. I did this when I was 23. Okay, so I was a baby. I was a child, doing the best that I knew. When I got the surgery, it didn't come from like, let me just do this. I love myself. And it's just like an added bonus. That intention and that mindset is very important. But mine didn't come from that. Mine came from, I hated my body. I had body image issues my entire life. I struggled with it. I didn't feel worthy. I felt disgusting. If anything, I've learned this journey. It was very hard for me to come into a human body because I feel that my soul, what I've learned is I'm very spiritually connected. So me coming into this lifetime in this body, it was very dense. So from a very early age, I felt trapped in my body. I used to gain weight very easily. And so I, hated the way I looked, and it was very hard for me. So when I was 23, I had this novel idea. I'm going to get breast implants, and that's just going to make everything better. And again, I didn't think that my life was going to be perfect, but I was like, I don't like my body. So I just want to do this, And it was also, listen, I was pretty small chested. So it was kind of an experience I wanted to have. They weren't huge. I didn't go big. I'm petite. I'm 5'1" on a good day. So I made sure even the time I'm like, listen, I told the doctor, I'm like, I don't need them walking in before me, but I just wanted to have something, because I at least I had that much awareness not to look like, a porn star or anything. So most people wouldn't even know I had them, to be honest. So I think that's really important, because I think when we think about implants, we think like, oh my God, everyone just has humongous boobs, right? And that wasn't the case. Like for years, nobody even knew I did anything. But it just gave me something, right? So that was my mindset when I was doing it. I was really young, insecure, and, it was a part of my journey. So I wrote about this recently. I don't have any regrets. Everything I've done on my path, I chose, because if I didn't need to do it, I wouldn't have chosen it. And I really want people to hear that, is because we spend so much time regretting and this and that. But why? Because it was part of my journey. And actually, through that, there is something, no man could understand this. Okay. And also a woman that maybe has humongous breasts their whole life and hate it, they might not understand it too, right? Everyone has their thing. But if you are very small breasted, sometimes, and listen, mine are small now and I'm happy and great, but sometimes people feel like perhaps less feminine, right? Or they just want to look different in a dress, right? And so everyone has their own take on that, and nobody could tell anyone what's right or what's wrong. So I want to start with that. What anyone does with their body is their business, but it's also a perspective that some people can't identify with and can't understand unless you're in that situation. Okay. So I have no regrets. It actually gave me beautiful experiences that I felt like I came more into my body, of being a woman, throughout my life. So it was a part of my journey. And it was so funny because for so long, I even forgot I had them, because they just became a part of me that this was before my awakening. So again, I was at 23. I had my first awakening at 30, and that was a massive awakening. Literally didn't know anything was in the matrix the next day, seeing spirits, hearing voices, thinking I'm going crazy, seeing beyond the veil, predicting things in my dream, them coming true, understanding that we're in a hologram. And I'm like, whoa, literally overnight. I'm like, yep. I literally almost told my parents, I need I'm scared something's wrong. And I'm like, oh wait, I'm not going crazy, because if I was going crazy, I wouldn't have the awareness that I'm going crazy. And I'm like, I'm not going crazy. I'm actually just tuning into something. Okay, so that happened. So at 30, I had my awakening. And then, many years in my 30s, I just went through life and life was changing. I forgot that I had these because, again, they weren't like huge porn star. Nobody would notice anything. And they just became a part of me. So I wouldn't say I had health issues with that. I think there's always stuff running in the background, right? But everything was okay until in 2017, I got Lyme, which was contracted for my journey. That was supposed to happen whether I had implants or not.
Yep.
I learned that. Once I had that, my whole entire immune system was like, we're done. It was like, donezo, white flag, like we're just done. And it was a domino effect after domino effect after domino effect. Okay. So it took me, I'd never even thought that implants were impacting me. Okay. That this is how in the program that most people are, we were told that they're safe by doctors who put them in. And my only concern when I asked if they were safe, they said, oh, you might lose some nipple sensation and you might not be able to breastfeed. Well, at 23, I'm telling you, I didn't give a shit about breastfeeding. Now, I mean, I can't wait. And I dream of breastfeeding my child. But at 23, I was like, yeah, we're good. I don't care. I didn't care. I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Right. Now I'm like, oh my God, that's just like one of my dreams in life. Like I dream of doing that. So that was the only concern. There was no concern that you're putting a foreign object filled with a bunch of heavy metals in your body on top of your heart chakra. Let's even start there. Okay. So after I got contract with Lyme, going through this, I did start getting better probably around 2019, 2020-ish, but I was still super inflamed every day. My body was just like, my stomach looked like I was pregnant. I was sluggish, brain fog. I mean, I was not doing well, right? And here's the interesting thing that you're not going to hear from a lot of people, but because I work with spirit, I'm going to share this with you. In 19, I literally got the download that spirit said you need to take them out. Okay. At that time, I literally said to spirit, oh, fuck no. I was like, nope. Because you have to understand my entire identity was wrapped around in this. Yep. And I came from having such bad body image issues that I was like, are you kidding me? There's no way I'm taking that out. I'm going to look ugly. I'm going to look this. Like there's zero chance. So I said to spirit, I literally said to spirit, not ready. Let me know when it's expiration date because I'm not taking them out yet. I was like, absolutely not. Like it wasn't even an option in my field. Okay. So I said that. I forgot about it, went along with my life, still trying to heal, doing the thing. In 2021, I think it was around March or April, I can't remember, I get a very clear download. And when I say download, this is very clear as in, people wake up and they're like, call this person, or you need to do this. It's very subtle. But again, I've worked on my relationship with spirit that when I get a download, it's a knowing. So I got this March or April 2021, I get the download, you need to get them out. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, okay. So that's what started this journey. I was actually I just want to share this because it's really important because I have compassion for other women going through this. I was going to Florida, this is before I lived there, to visit my family. And I knew of a doctor in Florida that two of my friends did explant with. Okay. So I said, I'm going to make an appointment. I'm going to go in and I just need to talk to him. I don't need to do anything. And I didn't tell anyone. Because I was like, I'm not even, I can't even believe this is going to happen. I wasn't in full acceptance of this. Yeah. I was like, nope, it's going to go away and it's going to be fine. So I want to share that because I had such cognitive dissonance with this that and I get why other people are like, no, it's not, there's no way this is doing anything to me. Okay. I went and talked to him. He was a great doctor, very nice, but I just kind of knew he wasn't mine. It was just an intuition. And then I met with two other doctors. And then I ultimately made the decision for a doctor. Her name is Dr. Feng, and she's in outside of Cleveland, Ohio. She's one of the top specialists in the United States, if not the world. She does not put in implants. She hasn't for over 20 years. She has, talk about science, she has research and papers written on the effects of implants. She has been ostracized by the medical community. That's how I also knew she was my teacher, or my teacher, yeah, and doctor, because she is a way shower, and she is this beautiful little woman, like my height or even smaller. And she's a powerhouse, and she gets it on the Western level, right? Because she does surgery, and also on a holistic sense too. So she mixes too. So anyway, so I decided to make a decision and go to her. And there are pictures on my Instagram you can see of the before and after. So it's not just like I woke up the next morning and I wasn't swollen. No, it was a journey. And I also want to let people know that I was eating healthy, eating clean, living a healthy lifestyle before this. So afterwards, continuing that lifestyle, when I took them out, my body just absolutely thrived. I went from looking super puffy, super swollen, super pregnant, to all of a sudden having a flat stomach again, looking completely different. And I am built tiny. Like as I've gotten older, like I know my body type, and I'm small. Right. So I'm not supposed to have all that inflammation. And what is inflammation? Inflammation causes disease in your body. It is so dangerous how inflamed I was. And I was wearing big shirts because my stomach felt like a rock and it hurt and I was uncomfortable. I literally felt like I was wearing a rubber suit on my body almost every day. Do you know how uncomfortable that is? I would hide. I wouldn't want to be out in public because I was so uncomfortable, because I was wearing like a rubber suit over myself. That's what it felt like. So I got the Explant. It was definitely a journey. But I have to also say that 3 months up to it, I spent the summer. So I got it in September 3rd of 2021. For 3 months of that, I did deep, deep inner child work. I connected with my inner child, that the little girl that hated herself, the little girl that felt that she needed this. I cried. I grieved. I was scared. I was going to be butchered. I was so afraid to wake up. I didn't even remember what size I was. And there's a chance what happens when you take out the implants, it crushes your breast tissue a lot. So there's a chance sometimes that it's very flat, or it's wrinkly, or they don't just pop up the way it was before. And I had to go in. I had to get to the point knowing that I don't know what I'm going to look like when I wake up. It could look not so cute, let's just be. And I had to be okay with that, because I knew Spirit also showed me that if I kept them in, I was going to develop lymphoma. I was on the path, on the timeline to develop lymphoma, because my lymph nodes were so incredibly backed up. And I knew I had to get them out. So I cried up until the last minute. I was on the operating table when they were injecting me with anesthesia. I was so scared that I was shaking. I remember the nurses were so compassionate. They were holding my hand. I had crystals all around me. I asked them to keep the crystals all around me. And I was so scared. I was terrified that I'm like, most people do plastic surgery and they wake up because they want to look better. And I was like, I'm going to wake up butchered. And I'm even crying now thinking about this, because that's how real it is. And I want women to understand that it's okay to feel scared of what you're going to look like. However, I went to a really great doctor. She did an amazing job. I was so impressed with how cute they were that I'm going to tell you, I literally would show everyone, all my friends, want to see my boobs? Want to see my boobs? Oh my God, my male friends, my girlfriends, anyone want to see my boobs? I didn't even show people this before with implants in. And I was like, you guys, look at it. I'm so impressed. They're so cute. And I was just so proud, because it was me and I was back in my body. And one more thing I want to say, I know I'm talking so much about this. I'm not letting you get a moment in. I'm sorry. But I want to say this one thing. So I prepped myself for 3 months of, Danielle, you might wake up and you might cry because you're scared that you're going to look ugly. And people could say this is so vain, but reality is, like, does anyone want to wake up and be like, I hate something about myself? No, right? I understand we're more than our body, but there was fear and trauma there, right?
Sure.
So I prepared myself that, Danielle, when you look in the mirror for the first time, like, you have to be compassionate with yourself, and whatever it's going to be, you're going to be healthy. Okay. Well, I woke up from anesthesia. The first thing I heard is, thank God those were out. Literally waking up from anesthesia. Thank God those are out. That's from Spirit. Then they dropped me back in my body, and I felt connected in my body, in my heart, in a way I've never felt. And I started to cry and cry and cry. And the nurse was like, are you in pain? Do you need more pain meds? And I wrote, yes, but no, that's not why I'm crying. And I just started telling her, I'm like, you don't understand. Spirit just said it. And I just like, what? And they knew what I did for a living. So I just went off and shared that. But from that moment on, it was a new love for my body that I didn't even know was possible. Because I'm telling you, I wanted them so bad that I didn't even think it was possible. And yes, did dresses maybe fill out a little bit better before? Sure. But am I any different? No. Does it change me? No. Is anyone in my life going to care? No. Have men active different around me? No. Like, if anything, I've actually attracted higher vibrational men. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's an energy, it's a frequency.
Sure.
And I'm more whole in myself now because I'm accepting. That being said, I respect what anyone does to their body. I'm not here to be like, if you have implants, you're a bad person. No. If you want to get the biggest boobs in the world, you do you. But what I need people to know is that these are incredibly dangerous. They now have a black box warning on them that they had to do because there were so many lawsuits, because there's so many women getting sick. I'm in a Facebook group that has, I think, over 200 or 300,000 women. And it's a support group for women to be like, okay, I'm going to this doctor, or I'm scared to get it out, or this is my after, I feel great. And it's women supporting women. And there's no negativity in this. There's no bashing. It's women showing that I'm going through this, or I need to get these out, and I feel so much better. And I've had people say to me, oh, it's placebo. And I'm like, this is not placebo. If anything, I'm the one that didn't want them out. I didn't want them out. I literally was like, oh my God, I'm going to look ugly and I don't want them out. I didn't even think it was going to improve that much on my health. I just got them out because Spirit told me, and I knew I had to. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get these out and be healthy. No, I was like, shit, I got to get these out. It was not placebo. I literally was expecting like maybe I just felt lighter. I don't know. It was a world of a difference. My entire life has changed. Since January of 2020, the new year when it started, I've been doing things in my business. My business took off to a whole level because for 5 years, I wasn't able to do a lot of things in my business that I wanted to do because I had brain fog. I could barely function. I had energy. I had energy, couldn't get out of bed. So I am literally a completely different person. And my audience who's seen the before and after, they're just in shock. They're like, there's no way that's you. And I'm like, it's me, bitches.
Amazing story. And there is a ton of, I feel like, courage that needs to go into that decision. Because like you said, you don't know what's going to happen after that. And what ifs, right? That we plague ourselves with every single decision we make. But, two things come to mind with that. It's something you said in the first portion of podcast we talked about was the barrel method, that barrel mode that fills up with toxins, right? So you can have something in your body that may be perceived as a toxin that is implanted into you, and your body can compensate. It hasn't yet overflowed. But then it is a decade later, let's say, and you've just been living in more and the toxicity gets to that point, and then the barrel tips, and then boom, oh my goodness, I'm really sick. And what could it be? And it's a lot of things, but that could have a big influence on it. And number two is something most people don't know is the amount of chemicals in breast implants.
So much.
I mean, you said heavy metals, there's benzene, there's like there's all of these things. How is it that we're allowed, like you didn't know that when you had your implants?
No idea.
No one mentioned, hey, there's other things.
Nope.
And you say there's a black box, notice now on it, but I still know people recently that have had it that would completely probably dispute this and say, I was never told it, so it can't be. What would you say?
Just because you were never told doesn't mean it can't be. I mean, that's silly. It's
silly, but we still have this trust in doctors and medicine to inform us if something may be, like you said, what's the worst? It could be nipple desensitization, not being able to breastfeed. That's it, Danielle. That's where they stopped.
Years old, we're good. Yeah.
Yes. And you're doing it at such a young age. Of course, you wouldn't be looking ahead that far to these things. But when you talk about heavy metals, when you talk about all these chemical compounds that are in it that you're going to place inside you for the rest of your life, you're thinking. That's where I would think, hey, you got to sign off on that. And people really have to understand what that means. Because yes, right away, maybe you won't notice anything. But over the years, that's just toxins sitting in you. So what do you think do you think it's first off just the cosmetic surgery kind of industry being like, these make us a lot of money, that, there's nothing supporting this in long-term studies sort of thing. And then bashing doctors like the ones you went to, right? And saying, no, she's a quack, right? Put her on Quack Watch for
She's been
this.
called a quack. The minute I knew she was called a quack, I'm like, she's my doctor.
Well, I always said, if you want to find a good doctor, go to quackwatch.com, right? That's the only, you don't go to ZocDoc. Like, no, I'm sorry. And I'm sure good doctors are on there. I'm just saying, you want a really good doctor that understands holistic and could actually get at the root cause, go to Quackwatch, right? But, you know, I'm getting at this point of, are we as, again, a medical industry, plastic surgery, just putting, you know, our kind of the results and the money first over long-term health by completely sort of ignoring or not even acknowledging that there are these big complications and chemicals found in these?
1,000%. And, you know, a lot of people, I tell people just do your own research. And I said the research does not include talking to your doctor who put them in, because some of them just don't know. Just like Western medicine doctors, you know, with vaccines and with other things, they are literally not taught anything. They're just told this is the schedule. The same thing with nutrition. They're not taught that. You know, I've had my dad went through cancer, and the doctor's like, it doesn't matter what you eat. It's not going to change anything. Really? It doesn't matter what you put in your body. So a lot of them don't know. And also a lot of them, I would say, they don't really care because they are making money. They are doing their thing. But there are studies. There is literally a black box warning that has to be on them now stating it causes cancer. So, and how are we in a society so programmed? Listen, I was there too, but so programmed that we're putting sex in our body and we're thinking that that is okay. We're putting an object in our body filled with chemicals in your lymph nodes. Where do your lymph nodes gather? Your groin, around your breasts. You have the most lymph nodes under your armpit. Where is this going? Sitting on your heart chakra. Right? I mean, and here's the thing, your body, because your body knows it's a foreign object, your body forms a capsule around it. So when people get them out, you need to make sure that the doctor takes out the capsule. If they say, oh, you don't need to, don't go to that doctor. You need to take out the capsule, because the capsule has all the crap in it, because your body knows this is a foreign object. So right away, your body out forms and it has a capsule. You can see any explant, they have the capsule sitting there and then they have the explant. Your body is smart, so it forms it around there. But on my right implant, where, you know, my mom said to me years ago, she had a dream. She's like, there's a problem with your right implant. And I ignored her. I was like, it's fine. Because again, I wasn't ready to deal with it. Right. And they took out my implants, and on the right side, my right side was calcified. That means, and I still have them. If I was home, I would show it on camera, but I'm not. I'm traveling right now. The right side, it was like, it felt like sand, because everything was leaching out inside of it. That was leaching into my body. So even if they're not leaking, you still have a foreign object in your body that your immune system is taking energy and using it for. So right away, my body was using 80% of its energy just to survive. So I'm good with my implants. So then Lyme comes along. You think I had 20% left of my immune system to do anything. So then it was like, and Lyme is stronger than 20%, let's say. So it's like, you got to give yourself a chance. And people have, you have digestive problems, you have inflammation, you have brain fog, you have memory loss. You know, people have some neurological stuff happening with implants, and people don't understand until they take it out and they're like, I literally feel like a different person. But we get used to feeling like shit for a while. I got used to it for so long that I didn't even know. And then it just got to a point where my body was like, we can't actually do this anymore at all.
I was going to say, that's the boiling frog, right? You slowly, you don't even realize you're getting worse and worse over time. And that becomes your new norm until you take it out. And oh my God, you know, it's such a difference there. Now, let me play devil's advocate for a second here, because I've heard this when speaking with experts before that are pediatrician experts on vaccines, that they're not against vaccines. They're against toxins and things in vaccines in general and the amount we give to children. So there was the kind of idea of, well, if you could do a green toxin that didn't have thimerosal or everything and just had not, you know, anything except the virus itself for your immune system to build up to naturally. And many were proponents. They're just saying Big Pharma would never do that. They would take too much money, and no one's giving them shit right now. So why would they change? Right? It would basically be saying, yes, we did it wrong and admitting something.
Right.
So So that's what but do you think, because this is a little different, if you had a completely non-toxic, let's say in a perfect world, implant, but you're still inserting something foreign into the body, do you still feel there would be negative impact from something like that? Would you be more prone to say, well, it's completely, we know there's nothing on it, it's clean, no heavy metal, no nothing, and it's just this biocompatible sort of new thing they found? Would that change your mind on it?
I don't know if the body would be okay having a foreign object. And I understand people get screws, people have hip replacements, but what are the long-term effects of that? You know, I need to get 2 root canals and I would have to get implants in my teeth. And I'm hesitant because even though I understand how dangerous root canals are, I am still hesitant of putting an implant in my mouth because people still have problems with that. So I just think that anytime you're doing anything to the body, you have to understand it comes with complications. And that's not to say that if someone still wants to do that, I mean, it's up to them. I'm still a proponent of whatever you want to do with your body. It's your body. I'm not here to shame anyone, but I am here to share my story because I believe it's very relatable and a lot of people can understand. You know, I had the biggest cognitive dissonance with this. So I just think that anytime you put anything in your body, you're asking for some kind of reaction, you know, and maybe in someone, their body constitution is stronger and they might be okay. And that's right. And then there's people that are more sensitive and they're not, you know? So I think every literal body is different. And also you're still putting a foreign object in there, you know?
It's true.
And that's why what are the studies on long-term with people getting hip replacement, people getting screws, you know, like how is your body reacting to that long-term? Do we know that? You know, I think that we don't have answers fully for that, do we? So
no. And that's the thing. I think we never really truly have answers, but if we look to nature, I think nature does it best. And we've evolved over such a long time into the amazing beings we are now, spiritual, energetic, and physical beings. And we've been giving everything we already need. Anything extra or anything on top of that, the body may perceive as a foreign, even if we don't, even subtly in an energetic way, like you said, over chakras and everything, that could throw us off and lead possibly to disease. So it's a risk, like everything is.
Yeah. And, you know, I just want to say one thing with that is that, I put this in words. I'm just going blank on how I was going to explain this, but it's okay. Go on. It's too long of it. Yeah, it's okay.
Maybe you could answer this one as the last question. If you could go back and speak to 23-year-old Danielle, what would you say to her before getting that procedure?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it was definitely part of my journey, but I can also say to her that there is no breast size that is going to change who she is as a soul and how she shows up in the world. And I get it. Like, it was fun filling out dresses more. I'm not going to lie. But I also believe that if someone is coming from that space of like, I deeply love myself and I have no breast tissue and I would like to have more, then that's a different energy than I hate myself and I'm going to do this because I think I'm going to look better, right? So it shows up, but I have compassion for the 23-year-old self. Like, I've talked so much with her already before my surgery. So we're good now.
Yeah. No, a wonderful message. And I completely agree. Sometimes it's more about really getting in touch with yourself before you make a decision. Yeah. I've always said, listen, smoking is not good for you also, but I've known people that truly found joy in smoking and live very long. It's one of those like conundrums of life. Like, if you do something with joy and love in your heart, even if it's really negative for you, it's still better. Most of us, would smoke, I would say, because you're stressed, because you want to like get away from something or whatever it is. But I had a few family members that lived very long lives and smoked, and others that didn't. Right. So. Right.
And different constitutions. And I also have to say, family members, if they're older, there wasn't as many chemicals in our food now. So the bodies are totally different now. This is why every child is sick and has, all these things. And I mean, they weren't getting 76 vaccines. They were getting 8, like I think I got 10 my whole life, now they're 76, it's just like, it's a very different energy. And the last thing this is what I was going to summarize.
Yes.
You asked about putting an object in our body if it wasn't dangerous. And we talked about, the people still have screws and hip replacements and all whatnot. These things, this is where the beauty of science is, to help people. But it's still different putting that in if someone can't walk than putting in something for your breasts, right? So
Yes.
let's take a chance if we have to put in a screw in someone's back so that they can live, versus putting it in to give you bigger tits. Right?
Yeah.
So
emergency versus elective, almost, in a sense, you could say, right? Survival versus complete just choice to do something. Yeah. Yeah, a very different one. And again, I think we both put this out there that everyone has the choice of what to do.
Absolutely.
But you want to be informed. Informed consent is so big. And I didn't even know when I looked at your IG post how many chemicals were inside breast implants. And they're just going to get in the body. That was shocking to me. That isn't common knowledge. Yeah.
No, and it just becomes so normal. It's like, I have still so many girlfriends that have them. I don't treat them differently. I don't say, they know my story and they know that I love them just as much. And I've said, if and when you're ready to get them out, I'll be here for you. But if not, I still love you just as much. Like, it's their journey. It's not, so I'm not here to judge what anyone does with their body. But again, we need information because we didn't know. And it just comes down to, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because it's not supposed to be there. And that's just what it comes down to.
Yeah. If people want to learn more about you and your story and all the work you do aside from this, of course, where can they go?
They can go to my Instagram at I am Danielle Paige. It's Paige, or my website, daniellepaige.com.
Danielle, thank you so much for sharing this story. I think it's a really important one.
Thank you so much for having me on. I love this conversation.
Absolutely. We put such a premium on how we look, oftentimes at the expense of our own health. Danielle did such a great job showing us the dangers of breast implants. And the same goes for so much of what we place into our body beyond breast implants. We got to be aware of that, be in the know, and place health first. Until next time, continue writing your own healing story.